All right, so we are back into another Dragon Ball Super Card Game video. This one is going to be a little different. This is from the last weekend's PPG webcam event for DBS, of course, since I've been doing some Digimon here and there. But this is going to be the top 4 mono yellow Toppo. And Mr. Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Aiden Altic, and I played Toppo this weekend.
Nice, nice. Okay. Definitely a little bit different as far as the leader and as well as deck, and we're gonna go right into it. Before we do that, did you want to give any shout outs, anything like that?
Yeah, I would like to give a shout out to my partner and teammate JT Jenkins. He had a playtest with me all the time, and it's honestly horrible to play against, so I feel bad for him. But shout out to him for sure.
Okay. I love it. All right, let's get into it. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the leader, and this is one that people really don't see too often, but it does have a lot of cool things going for it. Did you want to break down the leader for us?
Yeah, for sure. So obviously he's an awaken if you have a unison that has a specified cost of 2 or 4 or less life. I pretty much never awaken with 4 or less life. I always awaken with my unison pretty much every single game that I play. And then on his backside, obviously, he limits the number of times a player can play a battle card. And the interesting part recently that I realized is that I actually was in PPG Miami as well. And during that weekend, there was a ruling where is if I have a unison in play and my opponent plays a battle card, even if they remove the unison, they cannot play a battle card for the duration of the turn. And that's just how it is.
Wow.
So, which is a little different than the way that I thought it was played a while back.
Yeah. Because I mean, it's a permanent, right? You're supposed to have a yellow unison, and
it is a permanent, but how it basically is worded is that if you play a battle card for the duration of the turn, it can't be played, and that stays in play even if you don't have a unison. If they play a battle card before the unison is removed,
I see.
Yeah, so if they remove the unison and they haven't played a battle card, then they can play as many as they want. But if they play one during the turn that I have a unison, they officially cannot play a battle card, which is it's interesting because it means that I can't remove my unison and then play a bunch of battle cards, right?
Yeah.
So I can't like play a battle card and then remove my unison by like minusing 4 or something and then playing a bunch more, which is kind of a hindrance. But then also, it also allows me to be able to be a little bit more flexible, allowing my unison to die and then being able to reestablish them next turn and stuff, which is pretty cool.
Awesome. Okay, I never knew that. It's good to know. Did it come up in a I think they say a duel, but in a in a match? There you go.
It definitely came up a couple times in a match. Obviously, like Red Piccolo, it's a great example of a match where they can kind of go pretty wide if they can play multiple battle cards. So oftentimes they'll have a unison and a leader swing that goes into my unison, and then they'll be able to play a battle card, kill my unison, and then unfortunately for them, they can't play more battle cards after that.
Yeah.
Right. So obviously that limits them what they can do, and then I can reestablish and then even wipe their board or whatever I need to do, and then kind of keep playing and keep kind of being able to have that pressure and kind of do what I want to do.
Yeah.
Without them having to build like 20 cards on the board on that turn because they can just combo 50 cards or whatever it is.
Right.
And then, which allows me to be able to kind of control the game a little bit more.
Okay. That's interesting. That's kind of where we go into the next part of, why did you pick this over anything else? There's a lot of decks out there, from Dark Broly to King Piccolo to Sin, all these other ones running around in this best of one format, but Toppo is definitely a little bit different. And how did you come up with this?
Yeah, so I've been playing this deck for a while. I think it's really annoying. I think its mechanics are very unique to the game. Like this game is very focused on playing like lots of battle cards in general. Like that's just how it works. There's a lot of free play right now. There's a lot of different things going on. And I came from Magic, and it's a little different than Magic. Magic is very controlled on how many battle cards, and like summoning sickness is a big deal, right? And but going into this game, it's like this is the only leader that kind of limits that at all, which is really cool. And I've always just enjoyed playing them. And because there's so much going on right now, there's just so many different decks you can play. I think overall it has a relatively good spread.
Okay, for sure. We can definitely talk about that a little bit later on. But first, let's go into the battle cards. So we can kind of go left or right. You can skip some. Some of these are pretty well known, I would say. The couple on the right side, maybe people don't really know. You can kind of break those down. But we can start with the Goku. Obviously, for self-awakening, a little bit of pressure, right?
Yeah, so being able to self-awaken, just being able to have a big hand in your in general is good in this deck. I don't care as much about my life, because if you can only play one battle card, like normally people can't kill me.
Yeah,
It's really hard. Even if I'm at like 2 or 3, it's like it's really hard to kill me, because I just negate your one battle card swing and then I'm good for the turn. So I care more about my hand size and making sure that I have the pieces that I need to be able to win the game and control my opponent.
right.
So obviously self-awaken is important. Being able to put early pressure on my opponent, because it's actually kind of hard to like sometimes finish out a game if I don't put a lot of early pressure on my opponent. It's just really important.
For sure.
So obviously Goku's just does exactly that thing. Also, unison pressure is just super important in the meta right now.
Yeah, for sure. Trying to get a couple markers off. It's gonna be pretty important. Okay. Then we also have the Vegeta. Looks like a top 5 for the unison, as well as the Saiyan, which I guess gets the Vegeta, right?
Yeah, so this card is just the best searcher in the deck. You get either your Unison or any Saiyan, yellow Saiyan that's cost 3 or less. So that's your draw apes, that's your Vegeta counterplay. It's anything that you need in the deck, pretty much. Every piece that makes the deck work. It's just like an absolute need of, like, I can't run the deck without this card. You just need to be able to see Unison on turn 2, and you need to be able to see your apes and your counterplays and all these different things.
For sure.
Yep.
Okay.
And then I can go to the ape. Draw ape is just super important. Like, later on, we'll talk about my unison choice. But one of my unisons basically puts yellow cards in my drop area for free. And just being able to have a free way of being able to put apes in your drop is just amazing.
Yeah.
And with my limitation of only being able to play one battle card per turn, being able to ape and play a battle card is just, I need to be able to use my mana as efficient as possible. So being able to do that as many times as I can is just super great. And hand size is obviously just really important in this deck too.
Yeah, I do agree.
And then I can kind of talk quickly about the cooler. Cooler is very obvious right now. Baby's very popular. It won, I think, the last tournament. There's a lot of babies out there. It's just so good. It's just cooler hatch, cooler anything, cooler violent rays, anything that right now. There's just a lot of like big stops negates right now that are not battle cards actually, or even if there are battle cards like Toppo and stuff, it just stops. And any of those kind of floodgates I can just get rid of and just win the game on that turn, or just get more extra pressure and stuff. Yeah, super good. And then Vegeta counterplay is just obvious in this deck. Like, I run 4 of. Every time I don't see more than 2, I'm sad, because this card is really good in this deck. You're limited to 1 battle card, and so if I rest mode it, it's basically like a mini hatch, which is great. It's just super great. It's just the best, one of the best cards in my deck for sure. And then ape is really great. Normally I'm playing ape on turn 2. My normal line of play is a Vegeta turn 1, go get a unison, or a Vegeta counterplay, play a unison on turn 2, untap 2, attack with ape, and then ape it out, attack again with ape. And once again, I want to put a lot of pressure on turns 2, 3, and 4, just so that I can get them low enough where eventually I can finish them off. Yeah.
Okay. Makes a lot of sense, and just really energy efficient. I think everybody probably looking at this is wondering the right 2 cards, I guess, with the read it. Nope, not gonna try it.
Margarita.
And freeze it. Oh, Margarita. Oh, that makes more sense. What am I doing? Okay, well, this one is a 1 cost in your hand if you have a yellow unison, which most of the time you're going to have that, and then you get to choose a battle card in rest mode, and it can't be switched to active mode, which is pretty nuts, honestly. Since you only have 1 battle card to play, right? So if they swing with it, they're not going to be able to swing with it at all.
Yeah, so I actually was playtesting this card a lot in the last couple of months. I think this card is really annoying in this deck. Yellow obviously has a hard time removing things early on, and this is basically a removal spell. So I wanted to have another option that I could go into on turn 2 when I awaken, because I get to untap the 2 anyways. That's not ape. There's just so many decks that just will kill ape immediately, and it'll just be worthless. Like Dark Brawly will just remove it immediately. Green will just remove it. There's just so many things that just get rid of it. So I wanted something that could come into play and then be really annoying to remove, and then obviously it is just an annoying card. So against like my green matchups, against Dark Brawly, against all these matchups, I can play it and then start basically removing their cards or tapping it down so it can't attack me, forcing them into playing another battle card during their turn, right? Which is the goal. And then I can Vegeta or negate the attack or whatever I need to do. And then it has barriers, so it's just impossible to remove.
I think the 2 main things outside of the auto effect is that it's a 19k and it has barriers. So like, and it doesn't have unique, So you can just have multiple of these things and keep swinging. That's just dumb. That's honestly just dumb.
I've played this Dark Brawly with my friend, and I've had like 3 of these in play, just tapping down his entire board, and then just put once again just free cards, free pressure, free everything, and they're just impossible to remove. They're just tons of pressure online. They're forcing your opponent to combo out of the attacks every time, and just I can switch to different battle cards. You play a bigger threat, I can rest mode it with Vegeta counterplay, and then start tapping that card down if I want to, stuff like that. It's just good
for sure. Oh man, okay, all right, and then we have the 5-drop Frieza, which you can't cheat this out. You have to play for 5, I'm guessing. It does have deflect, it does have blocker, double strike, and you can restand this. Am I right on that? I don't know if I ever read all this correctly. There's a lot of text, so
yeah. Every time I played this card against somebody, I had to read it like 3 times because it is so much text, which is pretty funny. So I do play for 5.
Okay.
I think this card is really bad almost in every deck besides Toppo.
Okay.
And the reason why is because on turn 5, if you're playing a 5-drop that does all these different things, it just doesn't matter as much because
should be over already.
They're going to play 6 30k battle cards with Dark Brawly, or Mega Free is going to play 50 battle cards, or etc. And they're just going to whop over you, and the one blocker just doesn't do anything. But with Toppo, it's like I can play this. So it's deflect, so it's impossible to counterplay. It's double strike, which is a lot of pressure, as blocker, which is good for me. When it comes into play, it just KOs all my opponent's battle cards in rest mode, so it's a board wipe.
Yeah.
So I play it, I can wipe their board, I can basically reestablish my pressure, and then we'll untap at the end of my turn. So it's another blocker that I can play, and if they play one battle card, then once again I have that one blocker that will stop their whole turn.
Yeah.
And then the next thing that's amazing about this card is that it can't be removed by battle area by skills at all.
I was looking at that. Why did they put that on there? Why did they think that was okay?
And once again, I've played this in different decks, and it's really terrible, honestly, because it's just not ever worth to play for 5 mana in any other deck.
Yeah.
But so if I can only play one battle card, why not play the best battle card ever, right?
That's true.
It's pretty solid.
That's true.
Yeah, it's just impossible to remove, basically. And then every time my opponent activates a counterattack too, once per turn, I can also tap down 2 of their cards, and they don't switch to active mode until my turn, basically.
Yeah.
So oftentimes I target like their leaders, even if they're in rest mode, because I just choose 2 cards, or their energy, or their unison, or whatever it is. It's any card I want.
Yeah.
So example, my first matchup, and we'll talk about this later too, Baby, I end up playing 3 of these basically, and every time he counterattacked, I got to tap down 6 cards and then make his life miserable, and he just stopped drawing. He stopped doing anything basically, and I just was like, okay, I'm gonna do this for the next 3 turns, then eventually you're gonna lose.
Yeah. That's pretty degenerate. Okay, well that's good. It's really good in this deck, and probably, like you said, probably bad in every other ones. Really cool to see it actually have some play. I mean, when it got revealed, I don't think anybody was like, yeah, I'm gonna play 5 and do this. Everybody wants to kind of cheat it out, but I think this is perfect for it. Okay, well, let's move on, and for the sake of time, I mean, some of these are pretty obvious, I feel like. You know, the Counterblast Son Gohan, which you can kind of expand on, and has the sort of toolbox effect to remove something in rest mode. Zamasu obviously is amazing. You know, this is kind of a staple in yellow and blue decks type thing. Champa for double strike. We can get to the unisons in a little bit. Secret Identity for tokens and removal. Kai, do we really need to say anything? And then Shrouded, is sort of shouted, but I think you can kind of expand on where these were more useful, and as well as the unisons probably be good.
Yeah, for sure. I can just kind of basically talk about the overall idea of where these cards play in to the deck. Sure. Obviously, like my opponent building a big board is really hard for me. If they build a bunch of different cards, battle cards, and play, and then be able to attack my unison over and over again, they can force it to remove it, and then they won't play a battle card, and then they can play as many as they want, right? Which is not the goal for my deck. And like Gohan, it removes 5k battle cards, so just being able to remove something for free is really good. Zamasu helps me be able to deal with the boards early on, and being able to kind of deny pressure. Just Champa is obvious, just a great card. Love that card. Mass Saiyan, same thing. Remove boards. That's kind of the idea of the deck, right? Nothing wrong with like aping for 2 and then overwhelming and then playing that card and then wiping their whole board and once again gaining that pressure back. Kai, insanely good, just one of the best cards I've seen. Once again, just wipes their whole board too. If a unison's a problem, it just makes my life so much easier.
Yeah.
And then Fu is pretty easy. Like if I drop the freezer for 5 and then Fu the next turn, I pretty much just win.
Yep.
Yep. And that's kind of how I finish every game out, pretty much. Yeah.
For sure. Okay. And then we also have the Unisons. The one that you mentioned is the Gogeta, where you can pitch and draw to. Came out a while back. And then, of course, Vegeta, where I think this is more in the Dark Broly, like, play big beaters type thing with his effects. And, of course, his -3 is pretty crazy, too. But anything specific for these guys?
Yeah, like I said, most people say that Vegeta's like the best Unison in this deck. I actually disagree with that completely. I think Vegeta's great in specific situations, but oftentimes he's just too hard to keep in play. He just doesn't get enough markers. Gogeta is just one of the most annoying cards I've played against. I get basically it forces my opponent not being able to play extra cards, because if they do, I just get more markers and makes it impossible for my opponent to remove it, which is the goal of Toppo. Being able to put 2 yellow cards in my drop and just start shuffling through my deck is just so good. Like being able to see every piece that I want for the answer to my opponent, it makes my deck very flexible, and basically I can pick and choose what I want to see. And most games I see three Vegeta counterplays easily. I see pretty much all my super combos. Sometimes I even start discarding some of my super combos because I'm just like, I don't need these right now.
Yeah.
It helps me get rid of the Unisons that I don't need. It's just the best card. It's just so good. It just does everything I need it to do.
Right, for sure. Okay, awesome. And not to mention that the permanent does have the +5 during their turn when you tap out, which I think for every card that you play in here, you could easily tap out and kind of be efficient with it. So that's pretty dope. And then the extra cards, we also have the Max Power Kamehameha, the Cocotte Zone, which is interesting to see. The Flying Nimbus, Time Magic, and of course the Final Flash for Vegeta to wipe any kind of keywords and things like that. And also 15k, which is nuts. Okay, so you can break these down if you like.
Sure. Max Power, same idea. I want to be able to remove things. I don't have any removal in this deck really, so just being able to like kill a Dark Brawly or whatever it is, or a Demigra or something on turn 2 is just great. And then it means that my Unison doesn't have any chance of dying normally. So it's just like, that's just amazing. Like I've done that against Red Brawly too, just remove a 3-drop and then play my Unison, and it's just like, okay, now what are you going to do? Really nothing.
Right.
And then Cocotte Zone is actually kind of cool. It's just so good to be able to like negate a swing, like a leader swing, and then to be able to tap down a battle card. Like it basically stops the whole turn. And then sometimes people see this card and then also will swing with their battle card first, and then I'll just Kai, and then they'll just have nothing to do, and it'll just be great.
Yeah.
It's not Nimbus, pretty obvious. Just a great card. Time Magic also, just being able to like have a negate when I tap out and be able to take life. I don't care about my life. Again, I just will do that as many times as I want. Just to protect my Unison is more important than my life. Vegeta Final Flash, it's not a great card in this deck just because most of the time people are swinging at my Unison and I just don't ever have an activate battle. Never. Like every swing is at my Unison almost every against the people that are trying to do it. But it gives me be able to finish people off, like being able to like triple Final Flash my leader or something for a game winning swing is great. And then it's also my answer to Kai. So if they activate battle with Kai, they can play it and then I can Final Flash it that turn, like when it is in the battle phase still, or my defense step, right? So that they have no chance of removing all my board and my whole Unison. Then next turn I can max power it and kill it.
Nice. Okay.
So this is my answer to Kai.
Okay. Nice. Okay. Cool. And now to kind of wrap it up, we do have the matchups. So we can go through all these and then we can talk about hardest matchup in general. It doesn't even have to be on this list, and of course easiest matchup. Yeah,
for sure. My hardest matchup is probably Green. Green is really hard. Gotenks is my one loss. It was really close. It was really back and forth, and it was a really good game. I loved playing it. The guy was really nice too, so we're just kind of chilling and hanging out and having fun. But being able to tap one and remove a marker from my Unison is so hard. It's just like I think he killed like 4 of my Unisons or something, and I keep reestablishing them, but it's just so hard to protect. And also he went first. That was kind of hard. Being able to go first in this deck is just crazy good because I can establish my Unison on turn 2 when you haven't gone your turn 2, and then it's like now you can't play battle cards for the duration of forever basically, which is great. So Gotenks is really hard. Green is really hard too because oftentimes they run Demigraw, so Turles is kind of hard. If you can establish Demigraw and attack with it, not a lot I can do with it. It's just extra markers off my card.
Right.
And then multiple times they can like play just Demigraw over and over again if they have extra energy. And because I limit battle cards, not unisons, obviously, so they can play multiple unisons and have extra swings in that I usually can't do anything about.
Right.
Which is pretty annoying.
Okay.
And then my easiest matchups is Blue Baby is just so free in this deck. Once I get to turn 5, I just start dropping freezes over and over again. I win every time.
Yeah.
There's just nothing you can do about it. The card has deflect. It can't be removed at all. And then I just, every time they negate, which is the whole point of the deck, I just start tapping down the leader and their unison or energy and keeping them low. And then I eventually just win. It's like a slow, grindy matchup where I'm just going to win eventually.
And you always get to turn 5 against Baby, of course. So
yeah.
Makes sense.
Always. Yep.
Okay. All right. Cool. I mean, overall, a lot of variety, a lot of diversity, and Launch being the only two the only one that was doubled for the day is pretty surprising. Pretty cool. And it makes sense. You know, all of these, they want to play a lot of battle cards, and Toppo just kind of says no to that, so that's really cool. Cool. All right. So, final thoughts. Anything that we missed? What do you want to play for the next set, or even for Battle Evolution? What do you got your eyes on?
I'll probably keep playing Toppo a lot. I love this deck. I like to watch my opponents squirm. It's so annoying to play against this deck.
Yeah.
It's kind of like getting over the hump. If I get over the hump, it's just so annoying to play against.
Yeah.
Because I'll have 5 markers and I'll rest mode every single card you play, and it's not fun for you. You can't play the game.
Yeah.
And I think that's my friend's biggest complaint about the deck is just like you can't play.
Yeah.
I really like this deck. I think it's really fun. I'm probably going to look into some other things too. I played a lot of Dark Brawly and some more meta decks.
Yeah.
But I'll probably continue just playtesting random things and having fun with things. But keep bringing back Toppo just because I enjoy it.
Okay. Awesome. All right. And that's what it comes down to. If you like the deck, then just play it. Get good first, and then make a good deck, and then play it. Maybe do it that way. But congratulations on top 4. Thank you for your time. If anybody ever has any questions, put it in the comments below. I'm sure I'll answer them, or he can answer them if he has a YouTube account. If you do. And the list, by the way, I didn't include in this, but it should be in the description below. So I'll just share that out if you don't mind. Wait.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, obviously you don't mind because we just did a video on it. Okay. Either way, I'll see you guys in the next one.